OTG Daily News. Another day, another dollar. SOTG. Supply to work. Paris Family Printing. Culture vultures. Do I believe that culture vultures exist? Yes, I do. What is a culture vulture? Someone who decides to profit off of a niche market that they don't really have interest in. They're just in it to create a profit for themselves because they can corner that market and get the highest profit margins. So wouldn't that make a lot of people culture vultures? In some ways, yes. But with the black American culture being the number one culture in the world, the most influential, from rap music to dress to sports to movies to style, everything about us black Americans has spread through every culture in the world. And we are only 13.4% of the American population, white people being 61%, Hispanic people being 15%, and then black people at 13.4%, and then Native Americans and Asians first, and then Native Americans. So if our culture being the number one culture in the world, for sure we have culture vultures. How, OTG? How? I'm still confused. Well, let's use the person that everybody is talking about at the time, Vlad. Vlad is a guy whose website is based in computer technology. He doesn't have a rap website. He says it himself. He has a website that's built with in a system that is computer information and is built on how it shares information. Once he built his platform, he chose a niche market, which is black culture, rap music, specifically a certain type of rap. People that nobody really talked to and would like to talk to. He chose that market as a place to build his platform. So Vlad, being a person who doesn't listen to any of the guys' music that he has on his show, he's not fans of these guys. He doesn't ride around listening to these guys. He doesn't really even support them. His whole idea of what he is doing is to come in our culture, make as much money as possible, pay as least as possible, and then go back home and use that money to benefit himself. That is the definition of a culture vulture. When we look at Adam 22, same deal. Not all culture vultures are just white people. We could say academics is a culture vulture. We could say complex is a culture vulture. We could say that 80% of things that are attached to black culture are culture vultures, because the people inside of the culture aren't empowered, and even when they have the power, they are still marginalized and pushed out by people who are not from the culture to depend on them so they can make the biggest profit margins and take that money and put it in their neighborhoods to supply their culture. So now that we have culture vultures defined, how is that messing up music and where the things that we love? Well, culture vultures are messing up everything that we know and everything that we've seen. So imagine if right now people could sell their CDs from home. People are selling everything in the world from home. People are getting shit fucking drop shipped from China and finding ways to make millions of dollars off that. Imagine if artists could still burn their CDs at home and ship them out right from the house in the time that we live in right now. It would be all kinds of young black millionaires, all kinds of young black CEOs. You know, when you think about Rap-A-Lot Records and how they started, Jay Prince had 1 million CDs in the street and poppy stores. So with that, all of that profit was his profit. He shared, he made a cut with the stores, but most of that profit went to the artist and went to himself. That's how now he owns all of the things that he owns. And it's also why they don't ever put him in the forefront. Excuse me. So with that being understood and said, imagine if we lived in that time frame now where we didn't have to go through avenues and channels that other people supply and they own. It makes no sense to remake the wheel. So a lot of the business ideas people come up with, oh, we should do this and we should do that and we should do this, are time wasting and going to take millions of dollars for people who aren't really going to support. Most of our culture is dependent on these people to make money and to get things, because we feel like we can't make it without them. And that's not the truth. But the vultures have us believing that their platforms are so important and their platforms are so real and a necessity to everything that we are trying to make and create, that we definitely need them in order to stay afloat. So now when we put your videos up, you have to break bread with different companies and different people who don't give a fuck about anything that you're talking about. Now, when you record your music or you build your brand, you have to keep in mind to be accepted by people who don't care about your culture, have no idea where you came from, who are just looking at analytics, just looking online, looking at keywords, and using that to find people that they think are the most poppin', that they think other people will like, and picking those people to supply them to the culture. When you look at the music that is around and you judge it towards the time frame that we're in right now, with Breonna Taylor's death, all of these cops getting off, all of these black people getting killed, crimes in the neighborhoods being at all-time high, people being in the poorest place that they've been, kids having the worst education, and you see people saying every day that rap doesn't reflect that. We need better rappers. It's because the music that these rappers are putting out. No, it's because of the music that the culture vultures choose to highlight and put in front of you every single day. They are entrepreneurs just like me and you. They are following the same rules of business just like me and you. They are trying to find the highest profit margins just like anyone else. These guys are vultures of our culture. They see a group of people who are uneducated, who will remain uneducated because the system that we live in the United States doesn't want to educate or empower them. They see a market of people just giving away stuff for free because they are, for a lack of better terms, they are desperate to find change. And music and podcasting and videos and all of these things are pretty cheap when you think about how things are being made now. So they see loads and loads of free content. They see people who are uneducated in the process of ownership and owning anything. And so they come set up shop in our culture. They exploit it as much as they can. They make as much money as possible without any regard of how it is affecting our children, it is affecting our pockets, it is affecting our women, it is affecting anyone. So when we talk about culture vultures, they are real. They are real. And it's not just white people, it's black people, it's all shades of people who don't give a damn about where the culture started. When we talk about rap music was the CNN of the streets. It is the black man's voice and the black woman's voice to say what is going on in neighborhoods and streets, to define the cool, define the style, define what's next. All over the United States and the world now, you have people emulating Black American culture, Black American music, but they are only emulating what the vultures put in front of them. And they are recruiting more people to come out and do that type of content because of a bag. Somewhere chasing the bag has become the number one goal, but the reality is there's enough money for everyone to get it, and there would be more money if we got rid of some of the culture vultures that are held on a pedestal and expected to manage and run our culture. So do I believe there's culture vultures? Again, yes. How are the culture vultures affecting us? They're affecting us every day in every aspect and every way. How can we overcome the culture vultures? By understanding our value, educating ourselves, and supporting each other. Everyone who probably listens to this video or listens to my voice knows somebody who is a musician, knows somebody who's an entrepreneur, knows somebody who's making clothes, knows somebody who does something that is a part of the hip-hop Black American culture. And if we don't start supporting those independent people, supporting the ways that they are trying to benefit the culture and make a way for themselves, and keep pushing them to look like money in a time where nobody has money, to keep pushing them to brag about $100,000, $200,000 cars when they're renting cars and people can't even maintain the insurance, let alone any payments, let alone if any problems happen. Of course, people are going to say get an extended warranty, but that costs money as well. As long as people are on social media and in one breath they're social media activists, but in the same breath they're policing Black American people and telling them how they should feel, can't feel, what they should do, where they should go, then guess what? We are always going to be less than, and we're always going to be surrounded by the vultures waiting for us to die off so they can come steal off our plate or even eat us. So understand, when I say it, culture vultures are real. They are affecting our community. They are affecting our culture. And the only people who can stop it is us. The only people who can change it is us. The only people who can fix it is us. The only way we can fix it is by supporting each other and starting to push back, making better choices, finding people who align with what you're trying to do, who are also the same color as you. It's nothing wrong with telling 13% of the people to focus on themselves and focus on their culture when their culture is number one, and figure out a way to benefit off your culture and the things that you create, the way that you dress, the way that you talk, the things that you buy, how you treat your girl, how you get your hair cut, how women get their hair done, the way they put makeup on. All of these things, other people are adapting and assimilating it to themselves. And if we do not focus on this problem sooner than later, in 10 years, Tupac will look like a white person. In 10 years, we'll have 10 years of one and done rappers. We will have cycled through, the music business will have cycled through thousands of people, stole their best work, and then sent them back home to have nothing while they still eat off of that best work. So my advice, be more aware. My advice, figure out a way to maneuver. You can't just 100% run away. We're men. Some of them women too. We are built to stand up for ourselves. You only lie down when you're born and when you die. Other than that, most of your life, you're a stand-up person. So you have to stand up for what's yours and push back. And no, maybe we won't make 50 millionaires the first year that we push back. No, maybe we won't have the best advertising and have radio spins across the whole United States. No, maybe we won't. But what we will have is valuable information. What we will have is our culture. What we will have is the power to dictate how our culture runs. That's all. Another day, another dollar. SOTG, OTG Daily News. Supply to work. Pears Family Printing. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those things.